Take a deep breath, everybody. Inhale, exhale, and trust me when I tell you, everything is as it should be. And starting in 2025, when the karmic nodes of the moon move into Pisces and Virgo, you are going to embrace that lesson and understand that this is the way to approach life and to truly embrace the beauty that life has to offer. Let's backtrack. Let's talk about these karmic nodes of the moon. What are they? And why are they now moving into Pisces and Virgo all of a sudden? Seemingly, not really. So the nodes of the moon in astrology are actually imaginary points. So they are mathematical points. They're not actual celestial bodies like the planets are. The nodes of the moon are calculated by looking at the moon's orbit around the sun's apparent orbit, which is called the ecliptic. So it's where the moon's path crosses the sun's path. And those points in the sky will create a north node. It's like a horseshoe. North node and a south node is exactly opposite. The south node is the upside down horseshoe. And you can find this on your birth chart. We all have a nodal axis in our horoscope, in our birth horoscope. What I'm talking about in this video are the transiting nodes. And about just under 19 years, it takes just under 19 years for you to have what is called a nodal return, where the nodes of the moon in the sky come back to where they were in your birth chart. So it takes about 18.6, just under 19 years for us to have the nodes of the moon returning to any two particular signs. And we haven't seen the north node in Pisces and the south node in Virgo for about 19 years, give or take. From January 11th, 2025 until July 27th, 2026, the north node of destiny will be in Pisces and the south node will be in Virgo. I'm going to explain a little bit more now about what these points represent. And they are very significant in certain branches of astrology. In Vedic astrology, the nodes of the moon are all important. That is a completely different system from Western modern astrology, Western astrology at all, actually. So I am a practicing Western astrologer. I'm not a Vedic astrologer, but I wanted to let you know that the nodes of the moon have ancient roots and are actually very revered, very sacred points in the horoscope, depending on the system that you're working with. In modern astrology, evolutionary astrology is a branch of astrology where the nodes of the moon are looked at very much so. Karmic astrology, past life astrology, anything that connects to the soul and one's soul understanding as it relates to astrology, this is where the nodes of the moon become super important and super helpful. So you want to understand what the nodes of the moon represent in your birth chart, but also what the transiting nodes of the moon suggest, because that is going to represent a temporary axis of karmic evolution for your soul and rebalancing. So the north node of destiny is the faded part of the nodes of the moon, where you're supposed to be leaning towards your north node. You are supposed to be moving towards the qualities that are represented by the sign in the north node. And the north node can feel like uncharted territory or uncomfortable territory for some of us. The south node, in contrast, it's always exactly opposite the north node. So this is an axis. The south node represents the past. It represents the karmic past. It represents the past life accumulation of talents relating to that sign, but it also tells us about where we have overused that energy, overdone it to our detriment. And so now we have the nodal axis asking us to balance the two, to lean towards the north node, developing those qualities. In this case, it's going to be the qualities of Pisces, while not disowning the south node, not disowning the Virgo qualities, but letting go of the more shadow expression of those Virgo qualities, the more toxic expressions, and using the good of the South Node to help fuel reaching our North Node potential. When you learn how to do that, you're really working with the nodes of the moon in the most constructive way possible. So that is the goal, both in your birth chart and in looking at where the transiting nodes are in your horoscope. So we're going to talk a little bit now about the North Node in Pisces, what that is teaching us, what we're supposed to be leaning towards, and the South Node in Virgo specifically. Before I do that, and before I then get to your horoscopes, because I'm going to talk to you about what this can mean for you depending on your rising sign in a very brief way, I am going to mention that at the end of this video. Before I do any of that, I forget to introduce myself sometimes, so I apologize. For those of you who happen to be new to my channel, welcome. My name is Maria DeSimone. I am a professional astrologer. You can find out more about me, about my work, here on my YouTube channel, or by visiting my website, insightfulastrology.com, where I offer personal consultations, and I have an entire astrology school where you can become a student of mine in a personalized setting. I also have your 2025 year ahead special forecasts. At the time that I am releasing this video, which is September of 2024, they may not be on my website just yet, but this is a video that's going to be very relevant for all of 2025, and I will be releasing my 2025 videos as early as October of 2024. So go back and check for those forecasts, because I do discuss in great length the eclipses as part of your forecast and the nodes of the moon in a more comprehensive way. This video is just going to touch on some tidbits for you, depending on your rising sign. So here is the book, the epic book on the nodes of the moon. If you don't know Jan Spiller, if you don't know Astrology for the Soul, this is a highly touted book for good reason. She basically wrote the Bible on the nodes of the moon. And so I'm going to draw some inspiration from her words of wisdom in this book. And although Jan Spiller has passed away for several years, she actually is a legendary astrologer, a household name, loved by many, and her work goes on. And I had the privilege of knowing her and working for her for a short time. I was writing horoscopes for her website. So she is an authority on the nodes of the moon. That is for sure. The North Node going into Pisces automatically means we have to lean into surrendering to the unknown. We have to lean into our faith a lot more. So some other qualities, and I'm going to read directly from her little overview here and then expand on it with my own thoughts. So she says, work in these areas can help uncover hidden gifts and talents. Being non-judgmental, compassion, surrendering anxiety to a higher power, freeing the mind through meditation and self-reflection, focusing on the spiritual pathway, trusting in positive outcomes, acknowledging connection with the universe, and welcoming change. At the same time, she discusses tendencies to leave behind, and she's relating to the South Node in Virgo. And what she means by leave behind is these are going to be the shadow expressions of the Virgo energy. If they are happening in the area of your life where the nodes of the moon are transiting, you are going to want to pay attention to balancing that, leaving those tendencies behind and fixing the situation. So those tendencies are hyper anxiety reactions, overanalysis, obsessive worry, exaggerating the importance of details, critical first reactions, fault finding, making others wrong, excessive anxiety over making mistakes, being Mr. or Ms. Perfect, and staying in unpleasant situations, as well as inflexibility. So the thing is, with this nodal axis, we all have to let go of any excessive need we might have to control the outcome of a situation, to control a person, or having those OCD tendencies, the compulsive obsessive tendencies that everything's got to be perfect, everything has to be to a certain standard, everything has to be fixed in this particular way so that I feel safe, so that I feel like I can trust my environment and rely on my environment. The North Node in Pisces is saying, hey, not so fast, Virgo. We are not as in control as we'd like to think. And the more we can surrender to that reality, the more peace we're going to find within our souls. And sometimes everything isn't going to go according to our plan, right? Remember that saying, man makes plans and God laughs? So the South Node in Virgo is man or woman making those plans. And the North Node in Pisces is God or the source, divine energy, higher consciousness, laughing its ass off at us silly little humans trying to control our environment and everything that happens in it. And so that is why the title of this video and my catchphrase for this particular nodal axis and this transit is everything is as it should be. And you want to have faith in that, guys. You want to lean into that energy. So Jan goes into pages and pages and pages of analysis about this. And you could read that on your own if you get the book. I'm going to really give you my own thoughts now and talk to you about what this could mean for you in particular based on your rising sign. And I'm using the rising sign as the benchmark for these horoscopes because that is where mathematically the nodes of the moon are more likely to be transiting in your actual birth chart, because now what we're doing is superimposing this nodal axis onto 2 houses in your horoscope. The rising sign forecast is the closest to being accurate with your actual horoscope. And the sun sign is more thematic, but the rising sign is mathematic. So I would suggest that you primarily focus on your rising sign forecast. I know there are going to be many of you out there who say, but I relate to my sun sign forecast too for the nodes. And that's fine. It's all good. I'm not looking at your personal horoscope. The sun sign will have a secondary influence, a thematic influence. But this idea of Pisces Virgo and the North Node, us leaning into this Pisces energy, we actually became introduced to it in a small way at the September 17th, 2024 lunar eclipse at 25 degrees Pisces, because this was the first eclipse in the Virgo Pisces axis. At the time of that eclipse, the North Node and the South Node are still in Aries and Libra. They're not yet in Virgo and Pisces. However, the eclipses are now transitioning into Virgo Pisces. And so in 2025 and for part of 2026, we are going to continue to have eclipses in Virgo, in Pisces, but during those time periods, the nodes of the moon will match and will also be in Pisces and Virgo. And this becomes a critical fated axis for so many of us, especially if the math is correct in your birth chart and a personal planet or an angle in your chart is hitting one of these eclipse degrees that are coming up, because they usher you into the next chapter of your life. They bring fated circumstances. They can change your life on a dime. That's how powerful an eclipse can be. And you hear astrologers all the time say that eclipses are like new and full moons on steroids. I'm so tired of that expression. It is a very overused expression. So even though it's not inaccurate, it's just, I think there's so much more to the eclipses because the eclipses open up a deep karmic fated portal of energy that we here on earth, us humans on earth, get to access in a deeply impactful way in our personal lives. So, as you think about leaning more into your spirituality, leaning more into your faith and the unknown, and trying to leave behind any tendency to over control things in your life out of the fear, out of that hyper anxiety that you might be feeling. Look now as I talk about your rising sign, and we're going to implement that theme into a specific area of your life. So for Aries rising, the North Node will be in your 12th house, and the South Node is going to be in your 6th house. And so you are actually very much rebalancing that mind-body connection and letting go of certain, there might be something about your energy that is shifting. And you may have to trust and have more faith in protecting your peace so that you can keep your physical health in balance. And that is a theme that I think is very significant for a lot of Aries rising, because that North Node will be in your 12th house. And you're going to be much more in your spiritual era. You are going to be more intuitive. You are going to be more psychic. You are going to want more downtime, maybe more hermit time. You may find yourself in a situation where you are very happy being in bed earlier than usual, or being snuggled on your couch with your favorite shows, or reading a book and being alone for a while. Just whatever it is that allows you to protect your peace and well-being and your physical health and emotional health. That's what you're going to be focused on. And you need to be letting go of anything in your routine that you feel is draining you energetically and draining you in terms of your health. And that is something that you'll be focusing on for Aries rising. For Taurus rising, the North Node of destiny will be in your 11th house, and the South Node will be in your 5th house. And so this is friendships, your social alliances, and the 5th house is children. The 5th house is romantic partners and creativity. So you are leaning more towards the faith that you have in your social connections, and you're probably going to be making a lot more spiritually minded or creative friends. You may have situations in your life where if you have children, maybe you need to let go of feeling like you've got to control the outcome of their life. Now, of course, this is very dependent on what age they are. If it's a safety situation, you have to step in. But South Node in the 5th house is in Virgo, especially, is, you know what? You have to remember that your children are not extensions of you. They are their own souls on their own journey. And you have to let go of that feeling sometimes of needing to control everything that's going on in their lives and allow them the room to evolve in their own way, even if they make what you perceive to be mistakes. And that will be a big theme for Taurus. This is also letting go of overcritical thinking and fault finding, connecting to your love life. If you are a Taurus who has fallen into a pattern of avoiding love or disowning love, or saying, you know what, there's something wrong with everybody out there. The dating pool sucks. Okay, these are some South Node in Virgo 5th house energies that you might be experiencing. Well, maybe the problem is more about your expectations, your unrealistic expectations. And maybe if you lean more into the possibilities of your social connections, you'll rebalance that, and you may find a healthy love connection if that is something you're looking for. So these are some themes for Taurus. Now, Gemini, the North Node is going to be in your career sector and the South Node in your home and family sector. And you know what? You are flying high with career. Gemini, it is going to be your 18-month period to make magic happen professionally. And you are going to see that you're doing your most inspired work, that you are really reaching towards your calling in life. But what you have to let go of are those situations at home and in family dynamics that you cannot control, because the more you try to control them, the more frustrated you're going to be. And you might not even want to pay attention as much to family matters because you just feel led so high up into this career realm during these next 18 months. For Cancer, the North Node is in your ninth house and the South Node is in your third house. And what you have to let go of is small-minded thoughts. And you have to lean towards big picture possibilities. Your faith in the unknown and your faith in learning something that's bigger than you. Knowing that you don't have all of the answers, but that you have a lot of questions is half of the battle here now. And you might be drawn to study some kind of advanced spiritual topic and pursuit, and that would be amazing for you during this time period. You might also let go of your attachment and connection to the familiar in your everyday neighborhood and situation in favor of exploration and moving into traveling to unknown places for experiences that you would not be able to have if you stay very close to home. So that's another theme. And with communications and with teaching and learning, again, it is this, I keep getting this vision of that small town mindset, or, thinking too small and no longer putting yourself in that box in a certain area of your life, and realizing that there is no limit. There is no limit. There is no limit to your mind, your thoughts, the possibilities that you can create. Only the limitations that you put on your own mind. And that's your theme, Cancer. Leo, North Node in your 8th house, South Node in your 2nd house, financial. So with the North Node in your 8th house, you are going to be having more faith in leveraging other people's resources to help support your dreams and goals. And that could be a very inspired place in your life over the next 18 months. And what you have to let go of is your OCD, nitpicking, fault-finding, lack of confidence in your own talents and abilities, in your own ability to make money in this world. Yes, you might be leaning more on the support of other people, or you're supposed to be cultivating revenue streams, maybe that have to do with passive income, royalties, commissions, bonus money. All of that would be wonderful. But you have to balance that with your talents and abilities and your ability to earn money in this world. And if you have gotten yourself locked into this negative thought pattern that's just keeping you stuck in that area, now you have to work on getting out of it. Virgo, North Node is in your partnership sector, South Node is in your sign. You are going towards partnership dynamics in an incredible way, and a lot of you will forge an important new relationship. Some of you will get engaged or married. Some of you will gel a new business partnership. But it is about having faith in other people. And it is about letting go of your need to control the outcome of a relationship. Letting go of having to feel like you've got to be so perfect and have everything in order before you can be with another person or in another relationship. And balancing the parts of you that are your very best in order to purify yourself and your soul. Not being so hard on yourself, forgiving yourself. A little bit of self-love and compassion, actually a lot, is going to be called for Virgos. Libra, the North Node is in your 6th house and the South Node in your 12th house. And for you, you guys are supposed to be having faith in your ability to restore your wellness and also your faith in your ability to do some meaningful work in your life. South Node in Virgo in your 12th house is, oh boy, you have some serious anxieties to let go of, to release yourself free yourself from. And you're going to be working on that, Libra, and you are going to successfully manage to eradicate those over the 18-month period and use that as fuel to help you lean towards meaningful work, restore your physical health if there's something going on in your physical health, and have faith in that area of your life. And Scorpio, North Node is in your 5th house and South Node is in your 11th house. So you are leaning towards romantic connections. You are leaning towards your faith in your children. What you might be giving up are friendships or social connections where you feel criticized and not supported and judged rather than held in high regard. So that is what's happening for Scorpio. And you might be even giving up on an old dream that you had that used to be important to you, but now you realize is no longer aligned to your greater vision. You will be leaning towards creativity. You're using your intuition in very creative ways. And a lot of you are going to have magical things happening that give you pleasure, bring you joy, makes your heart smile. Sagittarius, the North Node is moving into your 4th house of home, family, South Node, 10th house of career. So for you guys, you are moving towards that having faith in your family dynamic energy, trusting the process of what's going on in family matters, healing a family situation, healing family trauma perhaps. Generational trauma can be healed for you guys. South Node in your 10th house, well, if you are overworked in a career path where it's so much drudgery and no inspiration, some of you might be leaving a career path behind. Not all of you. It is about rebalancing, right? So it doesn't have to be an extreme all or nothing that everybody's leaving their career path, but it is about those unhealthy critical tendencies. If you have a boss, let's say, who is just constantly criticizing you, maybe you have to leave that job and get a new one. If you have been so hard on yourself with your professional accomplishments and all you're looking at are your failures and you're forgetting about your wins and your successes, maybe that needs to be rebalanced and reevaluated. So you may want to think about that, Sagittarius. Capricorn, the North Node will be in your 3rd house of communication, South Node in your 9th house of a higher mind. So with the North Node in your 3rd house, you're paying more attention to your immediate surroundings, what is in your environment, and inspired learning and communication right in your own backyard. So you may be cultivating relationships with siblings and neighbors more in a more spiritual way, your soul connections to these people. You may be finding your tribe in your neighborhood. With the South Node in the 9th house, you might be getting rid of some beliefs that are really keeping you stuck and making you think that everything is no or everything should be criticized. You're getting rid of beliefs that make you feel judged or that have you judging others rather than being generous with your assumptions that people are good and can do good and mean well. So that's a theme for you, Capricorn. Aquarius, the North Node will be in your 2nd house of earnings and the South Node will be in your 8th house of other people's money. So you might be letting go of some support from others. You might not be able to rely on the resources of others as much over the next 18 months, and you are going to have major faith in your own earning power, in your talents and abilities, in developing talents and abilities that connect to your imaginative, creative side, to your intuitive side, to healing, compassion, all of that. And that's where you're going to have great, great strengths and strides and growth. And finally, Pisces, the North Node is in your sign and the South Node will be in your partnership sector. So what you have to let go of is the constant nitpicking on your partner, the constant tearing down of your relationship. Because if you're always judging, always criticizing, always trying to control what's going on in that relationship, it is just going to fall away. It's gonna be too much on that relationship. But you can balance that. You can absolutely balance that. You can find ways to reciprocate service in a healthy way in this relationship. And with the North Node being in your sign, you are supposed to be developing a stronger sense of yourself, your identity. Have more faith in you and who you are and what you can become. And again, for all of the signs, please trust that with the nodes and the moon moving into Pisces and Virgo, everything is as it should be. I hope this video helps. You can be sure to watch your 2025 forecasts for more additional information available on my website after October of 2024. And there's going to be more conversations about the Virgo Pisces axis as I cover the eclipses in the future of 2025 and in 2026. So stay tuned for that as well. Thank you all for watching. Have an amazing transit with this nodal axis because it can be so magical and miraculous for all of us.